Buckle up and breathe deeply, because what I am about to unpack feels less like celebrity gossip and more like a social media earthquake. The internet has been on fire, timelines have been melting, and people are calling this the biggest Blueface plot twist yet. Every time you think the story has reached the peak of chaos, another allegation drops like a grenade, and suddenly everyone is scrolling back through old interviews, old live streams, old arguments, wondering, how did we miss all of this? So let me take you straight to the center of the storm, because a rumor has been circulating online with the force of a hurricane. While Blueface was behind bars, the streets of social media began whispering something that left the entire internet clutching their phones. People online claimed that Blueface was allegedly getting a little too comfortable with certain men inside, not friendly comfortable, not survival mode comfortable, but the type of comfortable that has TikTok detectives stitching videos with the caption, "Wait. What?" And before anyone had time to process, the rumor mill took an even darker turn. Suddenly there were claims that he had allegedly formed a full-on connection behind those walls, a connection that some commenters boldly described as a whole relationship, complete with whispers of a promised ring. Yes, a ring. The moment that part hit the timeline, everything exploded. You could almost hear the collective gasp. People typed paragraphs in all caps. Memes flooded Twitter. Fans who once defended him started side-eyeing old footage like it held a secret code. And the wildest part? The internet immediately brought up the one person who had been warning everyone for years, Chrissy Rock. Social media resurrected every clip of her yelling, crying, arguing, exposing, and begging people to pay attention. That moment during the Offset cheating chaos? Suddenly, it was being replayed like a prophecy. Comment sections turned into crime scene analyses, with users saying, "She tried to tell everyone, we just did not listen." Now, let me be very clear before anyone comes for me in the comments, these are rumors, fueled by social media speculation, fan theories, and people connecting dots that might not even belong to the same picture. But the emotional fallout? The betrayal people feel? The shock waves across every platform? That part is real, and it is tearing through the internet like an unstoppable storm. And just when everyone thought the internet could not unravel this situation any further, Chrissy dropped another bomb, not a pebble, not a hint, but a full volcanic eruption straight into the timeline. She claimed she literally caught Blueface watching explicit videos of men pleasuring themselves, and not in a subtle, accidental, "I clicked the wrong link" kind of way. According to her, he had it open boldly, confidently, like it was nothing. She said this man had "gay corn," yes, spelled exactly like that, in his search history. The way people froze on that part? You could almost hear the collective heartbeat of social media stop for a full 10 seconds. And Chrissy did not hold back with the shade either. She said, again, her words, not mine, that she had to get a tattoo covered up because she had a zesty man inked on her neck. A zesty man. People were clutching their pearls, clutching their wigs, clutching anything within reach. But beneath the chaos, her message was actually grounded. She said there is nothing wrong with being, just be honest about it. And the internet, for one rare moment, agreed with her. Because the betrayal people felt? It was not about identity. It was about secrets, denial, and the emotional shrapnel that comes with them. But here's the detail that everyone missed the first time: this was not her first warning shot. Think back to the Kaisenet live stream. The moment Blue casually admitted he slept with a little person, Twitter exploded. But then came the line that silenced the room. Chrissy looked straight at him and asked if it was a boy or a girl. And the internet screamed. Because why would she ask that? Why would she jump straight to gender unless she already suspected something? Unless she already saw something? Unless she already knew something? Viewers were stunned, but at the time they dismissed her as emotional, jealous, messy, the stereotypical, scorned ex narrative. Fast forward, and suddenly those old clips are being studied like ancient scrolls. People are replaying interviews, zooming in on facial expressions, slowing down audio, analyzing years of questionable situations with brand new eyes. And then, Blueface stepped out of prison, and immediately hopped on livestream with DDG. Chrissy joined the call, and out of nowhere Blue starts asking her to take it from the back. Then he asked if she had lubricant. The internet paused, again. Because who comes out of jail after months without women and the first thing they hyperfocus on is that? Fans began typing essays titled, "The Math is Not Mattaying," and "This is Not Behavior." And then, as if this entire saga needed another layer, more people allegedly began coming forward. Including Cole Kerrigan, a drag performer, who claimed Blueface slid into his DMs after seeing him in full drag. And Cole did not just vanish after the claim, he dropped a whole video of a man receiving oral, and the man's stomach tattoos looked extremely similar to Blueface. People became FBI agents overnight, comparing tattoo shapes, angles, spacing. The comments looked like a forensic analysis lab. The resemblance? Concerning, to put it lightly. Blueface denied everything, but then gave the strangest explanation imaginable. He said he is not suing anyone because the online drama is entertainment. The internet blinked. Because if someone posted an explicit tape claiming it was you, risking your entire career, your reputation, your image, would you shrug and call it entertainment? Or would you sue immediately? Commenters instantly speculated that he avoided legal action because discovery could reveal even more receipts, messages, videos, evidence he would not want in a courtroom. The theories spread like wildfire. But the part that pushed people from shock to genuinely disturbed was not about his alleged relationships. It was about how he behaved around his 6-year-old son. This is where the internet drew a line in permanent ink. Footage surfaced showing Blueface repeatedly asking his young child if he is gay, not once, not twice, but obsessively, circling back to the topic like it was stuck in his mind. The environment was chaotic, adults doing adult things in the background, strippers walking around, loud music blaring, and in the middle of all this noise, a father chasing a confused 6-year-old around a house asking, "Are you gay?" Viewers were not simply outraged, they were unsettled. Because children do not think about at that age, they think about cartoons and snacks. But Blueface fixation felt less like a joke and more like projection, like he was fighting a battle with himself, not his child. The clip sent a chill across social media. People said the energy felt off, revealing, telling, and it raised deeper questions about what exactly was going on inside his own mind. Because when a man repeatedly pushes a question that hard, especially onto a child, everyone wonders what he is trying so desperately to deflect from. Commenters said it best, and honestly, they said it with the kind of brutal clarity only the internet can deliver. Why is this even a thought for you? Why is this the thing you are obsessing over when your child is not even thinking in that direction? That line alone became the thesis of the entire discourse. People pointed out that fixation is the real red flag, not because the child did anything, but because the adult was the one repeatedly dragging the conversation back to a topic a 6-year-old could not possibly comprehend. Suddenly, the tone online shifted from jokes and memes to something deeper, darker, and more concerned. Words like uncomfortable, strange, borderline interrogative, and emotional pressure flooded the comments. People said the atmosphere in the clip felt chaotic at best, inappropriate at worst. It did not feel like a protective parent concerned for his child, it felt like a grown man wrestling with something internal and using a child as the mirror. And then, right on cue, the internet did what it always does, it started digging. Because once the algorithm senses a pattern, it becomes a scavenger hunt, and nobody hunts harder than social media detectives. Old clips resurfaced. Old interviews went viral again. Even dusty behind-the-scenes footage that no one remembered suddenly reappeared on the timeline like it had been waiting for this moment. And then something particularly shocking resurfaced, a clip that appeared to be from a Bad Boys Club audition. In the video, Blueface is interviewing male contestants, and the one topic he kept circling back to, repeatedly, intensely, was not their personality, not their story, not their talent. Just that one question, over and over again. People online immediately asked, why this question? Why so often? Why with that tone? Because it did not feel like casual curiosity. It did not feel like a scripted prompt. It felt personal, deliberate, almost intrusive. Viewers watched the clip and said the energy was off, that it felt less like a host doing his job and more like a man revealing a part of himself without realizing the camera was catching it. This is where the discourse shifted from "this is weird" to "is this a pattern?" And once people online start drawing lines between dots, you know the narrative is about to take on a life of its own. Some commentators claimed Blueface had shown hints long before prison, little slips in interviews, bizarre comments about men, strangely specific questions about intimate acts. Others argued that maybe prison created a shift he has not openly discussed. And then there were fans who pointed out the moment he casually mentioned backdoor activity with lube, a detail so oddly specific that it became gasoline for the rumor fire. Again, none of this is proof. But the internet does not run on proof. It runs on patterns, tone, micro-expressions, body language, and the moments people think no one is paying attention. And to many watchers, a pattern was beginning to form. But then came a twist the internet was not expecting. People began pointing fingers not at Blueface alleged, but at his public persona, the hypermasculine character he pushes so aggressively, so loudly, so theatrically. Some viewers claimed the over-explaining, the overcompensating, the chaotic household full of adult entertainment and boundaryless conversations, all of it felt like someone performing masculinity, not living it. Because sometimes, the loudest performance comes from the deepest insecurity. Soon the comments section turned into a flood of theories. Blue has always been into men. He is projecting because he does not want people asking him those questions. He needs to figure out his identity before he drags a child into it. Accuracy aside, the important part is that the public perception shifted, permanently. And perception is everything in this kind of scandal. Meanwhile, another fire was spreading. People were horrified by the environment Blueface has created for his young son. A home filled with adult themes, strippers, explicit conversations, chaos. It painted a disturbing picture. Parents online reacted viscerally. They said the clip looked like a trauma seed, a moment a child does not understand now, but will remember years later. People were not angry because of the rumors. They were angry because of the child, confused and innocent, being dragged into conversations and environments he never should be exposed to. Then came the psychological angle, projection. The internet's armchair psychologists united on one point: when someone repeatedly asks others about something, it is often because they are wrestling with it internally. And suddenly, the conversation expanded beyond Blueface's alleged identity and became a discussion about emotional safety, parenting, insecurity, and the dangers of dragging a child into an adult's unresolved issues. Because at the center of all this noise is a 6-year-old who just wanted to play. A 6-year-old who did not ask for this moment. A 6-year-old who did not even understand the words being thrown at him. And that contrast, the innocence of a child versus the chaos of an adult, became the internet's smoking gun. And while Krazian's name has been dragged through the mud for years, the narrative did a complete 180. Suddenly, the very people who mocked her, dismissed her, or called her messy are now treating her like the Cassandra of hip-hop, the woman who warned everyone, loudly and publicly, and was ignored until the receipts slapped everyone across the face. It is almost poetic in the most chaotic, internet meme way possible. The same people who rolled their eyes at her are now stitching her old clips, analyzing her tone, and calling her the one who tried to save us. Because the truth is, nothing goes ignored forever. Not patterns. Not projections. Not behaviors. And definitely not the warnings the world laughed at, until they finally made sense. And then you have the loudest corner of the internet, the people who are practically yelling through their screens, saying that nothing Krazian implied should even be shocking in the first place. They are pointing out that same encounters in prison are not some rare, mythical event. They are talking about how prison is a whole different universe, a world with its own survival codes, its own currency, its own hierarchies, and its own set of rules that do not apply anywhere else. And they are shaking their heads like, why are all of you acting brand new? Half the rappers you idolize have been locked up. These stories are not unusual. And when you take that perspective and mix it with the internet's obsession with scandal, it does not just create a narrative, it creates a storm. A swirling, chaotic tornado of speculation, moral debates, think pieces, comedy skits, and, of course, memes. So many memes. Because here is the truth, rumors have followed Blueface for years. Not weeks. Not months. Actual years. There has always been this strange, lingering cloud that hovered around his name, whispers people shrugged off, comments people ignored, situations people labeled as just relationship drama, or the internet reaching again. But now? People are actually listening. Actually connecting dots. Actually asking questions that should have been asked a long time ago. And the reason it is hitting harder this time is because the alleged receipts, real or not, are piling up. People are replaying Krazian's old comments like they are decoding an encrypted prophecy. They are dragging back up the drag queen allegations, dusting them off, and throwing them back into the discourse. The situation with his son, carefully, respectfully, is still being analyzed because people cannot unsee what they saw. Once something enters the collective memory of the internet, it stays there forever like a digital tattoo. Then there is that old audition tape, the one where he seemed oddly preoccupied with asking men if they were gay. Back then, people laughed it off as him being edgy or unpredictable. But now? Now the internet has that clip on an autopsy table. People are analyzing tone, repetition, body language, micro-expressions, the whole 9 yards. They are asking why he focused on that topic so intensely. Why it mattered so much. Why it kept slipping out of his mouth like he could not help himself. And just when you think the story cannot escalate further, enter the biggest spark, the prison rumors, the allegation that while he was locked up, he was supposedly someone's boy toy and even promising marriage. Now let us be absolutely clear, there is no verified proof. No documents. No audio. No official statements. Nothing but stories, whispers, and alleged conversations. But the thing people forget about the internet is this: a rumor does not need evidence to spread. It only needs a narrative that feels believable. And right now? The public is in a mood that makes anything believable. People are tired, skeptical, fed up with chaos, and ready to stitch any loose thread into a conspiracy. They see patterns that may not exist. They see symbolism in things that might be random. They watch old clips and swear they spot secret meanings. And suddenly, the story is no longer a rumor, it becomes cultural currency. A digital commodity. A story people trade for clout, engagement, and entertainment. And the conversation has evolved far beyond, did Blueface sleep with men? Now it is unraveling into something deeper, a full cultural dissection of masculinity, projection, hypocrisy, clout chasing, internalized shame, and how celebrities weaponize for attention while attacking others for the same. Some users are saying, if it is true, who cares? Let him live. Others are saying, it is messy because he clowned other men for the same thing. Others believe the discourse is a distraction from real issues. And then there are the people calling it karma, saying the energy he put into the world is finally circling back around. What is wild is how quickly the internet has rebranded Chrisian. The same people who once mocked her, dismissed her, called her toxic or unstable, are now looking back at her old clips like they are historical documents. They watch her yelling, crying, trying to explain the unexplainable, and instead of chaos, they now see pain. They see betrayal. They see a woman carrying information no one believed. They see someone cracking under the weight of a secret she never asked to keep. Whether that interpretation is accurate or not does not matter, it is the story people are choosing to believe. Meanwhile, commentators are diving deep into the prison angle. They are bringing in former inmates, psychologists, sociologists, anyone who can explain how can blur inside those walls. Some say same encounters do not define a person, others say it absolutely matters because Blueface built his brand on cartoonish hypermasculinity that leaves no room for contradictions. And now we are living in this giant digital courtroom where millions of strangers are arguing, theorizing, duetting, stitching, reacting. Every day, another breakdown video drops. Another creator analyses a micro-expression. Another old clip surfaces from the depths of the internet. It is a cultural fever, spreading through TikTok, weaponized on Twitter, narrated on YouTube, debated on Reddit. But the question that sits at the center of all this noise, the question dripping with curiosity, judgment, and chaos, is the one no one can actually answer. Do you think Blueface was really getting down with men while he was locked up? Nobody outside those prison walls knows the truth. Everything else is speculation, storytelling, and digital detective work, entertaining, explosive, and occasionally unhinged. But one thing is undeniable, the internet believes there is more to the story. And they are not letting this one die. Do you think Chrisian knew the whole time and finally reached her breaking point? And honestly, why do you think Blueface is so obsessed with projecting these questions onto strangers, onto interviews, and even onto his own child? Drop your thoughts below, because I know you all have opinions. And if you want more chaotic deep dives like this one, click the video on your screen right now, because trust me, the tea gets messy. I will see you in the next one.